I've been wrong. For years, I noticed the common denominator among the most successful agents and what was missing from those agents who struggled. Recently, though, I realized that consistency, which that's the magic piece of the puzzle for the top producers, isn't just some mystical mindset hack that some people have and some people don't. Consistency is having the systems and plan in place so you know what to do every day and have the motivation to follow through because those systems work. We call ours the Playbook Stack. My name is Levi Jones. I'm the founder and head coach at Guerilla Realty, and I want to help agents level up the consistency in their business, not by closing their eyes and clicking their heels together, but by giving you a stack of real playbooks that feed each other and making sure that you always hit your lead number. We do a full 1-hour live training on my #1 lead generation playbook, where I generate about 2/3 of my leads, and I'd love to give it to you for free. I go over the whole thing with every tool, the scripts, the complete step-by-step so that you can execute it. All you have to do is like this video, share it with another agent, and then comment shared below. I'll send you the private link to the full resource. 1 hour-long workout in the gym isn't going to get you fit. Just like running one great marketing campaign isn't going to change your business. But the reality is that's exactly how many agents run their businesses. They hop from one campaign to another. They stay really busy, constantly learning new processes, and they go through vendors like water. There's even a term for it. It's called shiny object syndrome. You've probably heard of it. And it's really just managing chaos. And it's exhausting. All of that creates a hell of a set of talents for those agents, but it doesn't lead to growing a business. And I actually don't even blame agents for this. Even vendors sell their idea or system as the magic bullet for real estate success. But here's the secret. There's no magic bullet. It's also not about just gritting your teeth and trying harder either. It's about putting together a stack of marketing playbooks that you can easily execute. And if you have a stack, then it doesn't matter if one or two are less effective for a season. Another will pick up the slack. And that's a system you can execute over time. That's consistency. We stole the idea of a playbook from American football. It's what we call that idea or step-by-step process that you use to generate leads that you can repeat again and again. You run an open house every Saturday at 2 p.m. That's a playbook, albeit not a very good one. A stack that you can execute every day, but that doesn't actually take all day or week or month is what the top producers all have. Let me show you my playbook stack, but the important thing is not that you copy my stack, but that you create a stack of your own. Most agents don't generate nearly enough leads. That's the truth. In fact, most agents don't even know how many leads they would need to generate in order to hit their commission goals, to hit their business goals. In fact, we do a whole training on that, how to know exactly how many leads you need to hit on a monthly basis in order to hit your financial goals. And I'll link to it above. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it today, but my lead goal is I need to hit 123 leads every single month. Okay. I've calculated that because I want to do between 4 and 6 transactions every single month. In other words, a minimum of 4. And in fact, I overshoot. And my plan is my playbook stack is about generating more than 123 leads so that I don't ever have to worry about it. I don't have to stress out at the end of the month because I'm only at 100 leads or something like that. So here's what my playbook stack looks like. First of all, and again, I want to emphasize it's not important that you copy my playbook stack. You need to have multiple lead generation streams coming in. I would suggest between 3 and 5 every single month, and they should consistently help you hit that lead number. Okay, whatever that lead number is, and your goal may be completely different than mine. That's okay. Whatever your lead number is, we want to help you get to it. But my playbook stack looks like this. So I start with the classified ads. And this is where I run lead generating listing ads on Craigslist, Facebook, several other smaller online classified sites here in the US. And on average, I generate around 87 leads a month. Okay. Now you might look at that and go, why would you need anything else? 87 leads a month sounds great. Well, again, depending on your goals, 87 leads may or may not be enough. For a lot of you, it's not enough. So you'd need to have other marketing playbooks anyways. But what I would also say to you is that average is 87 leads a month. That means some months it generates 120 leads and some months it generates 50. Okay. And if I were to only rely on this and I had to hit that lead number every single month to statistically get towards my goals, some months I'd just be out of luck, right? So that's why it's important to have multiple lead streams, diversify those lead streams so that, hey, if my Craigslist ads just aren't hitting, maybe I have the wrong listings this month. Maybe I borrowed the wrong listings, or maybe I just I wrote some junk ads or something like that, and they just didn't perform quite as well as they usually do. Then I have other lead generating streams in order to pick up the slack. Again, this is what consistency is about. Obviously, it's about consistently executing, but it's also about building a system in place where that everything doesn't have to run at 100% in order for it to work for you. If you ran it at 70% and it still generated you the leads you need, great, that's what we want, okay? So the second lead generating playbook that we run is something we call our Zillow jacking playbook. Again, I won't bore you with all the details. This is our way of attacking FSBOs, or not attacking, or going after FSBOs. This is where we generate a lot of listing leads. And I typically generate, on average, about 23 leads a month from just this source, okay? The third one that I use is upcirculating. Again, I won't spend a ton of time going over the details, but this is where we use social media, and specifically using a strategy that we developed. We go viral on social media every single time we post. And no, it's not because we have a huge audience and thousands of people on our email list or anything like that. In fact, any agent can run the upcirculating post, but you have to follow a very specific strategy in order to get that post to go viral. I generate or I average about 32 leads every single time that I run this playbook. Now, again, what you'll notice is that if you were to take out any one of them, even if we just stopped at these three, if you were to take out any one of them, I'd still have plenty of leads towards my goal, okay? Or maybe one of them only did half as many as they do on average. Again, I'd still have plenty of leads towards my goal because I have a stack of playbooks. Now, I don't stop there because I also have something that I call infrastructure marketing. This is where I optimize all the profiles and stuff that are always going to be out there, evergreen, okay? Google My Business is one of those profiles, and I've optimized it for lead generation. Now, I don't knock it out of the park here. I typically generate between 5 and 6 a year. And then in addition to that, I run local service ads. These cost me a little bit of money, but it generates an additional 3 to 4 new leads every single month. And so on average, I typically generate around 6 leads a month on Google My Business. Again, don't crush it here, but it all adds up and it all helps so that if any one of them is slacking a little bit, I'm still hitting my lead number. The final one that I run is the X forecast strategy. Again, this is a big one for my seller leads, and I typically generate about 8 leads a month from this strategy, okay? If you were to take all these together, I'm regularly generating 156 monthly leads, month in, month out, and so I'm overshooting the number of leads that I need. The beauty of overshooting is that I don't have to stress out if a lead is rude to me, or, oh man, I thought they were going to work with me and then they end up hiring their cousin. Who cares? I hear agents stressed out all the time because they thought that one was going to work out. I actually don't stress about it at all because I have more leads than I know what to do with. If one of them doesn't work out, guess what? I have tons of others. And again, I'm not some magician in terms of I have way more motivation or ability to work day in and day out than most agents. In fact, most agents, I would say, probably work harder than me. Especially looking at you guys who do the 4 hours of cold calling every morning, I definitely could never do that. But I'm consistent because with these playbooks, and I'll actually talk about the plan that I use for executing these playbooks here in a minute. I'm consistent, and because I'm consistent, I'm generating regular monthly leads, which ultimately turn into regular commissions. Hopefully I gave you some decent ideas to get your own stack started, but the next piece is completing a plan for executing them. So here's what my plan looks like. My classified ads, they actually take daily attention. So not only am I consistently posting new ads every day, on Craigslist, you have to renew your ads every other day. On Facebook, you also have to renew. But on Facebook, most of the traffic and the interest that you get from your ads actually comes through Messenger. So how do I redirect that interest to become actual leads through my, lead generating website? I have to give it daily attention. And typically I spend between 10 and 15 minutes every single day. In fact, it's usually one of the first things I do in the morning is I get in and I make sure I've executed my classified ads before I do anything else. I sit down at the computer and I either have new ads going up, I'm replacing old ads, or I'm renewing the ads that are already there. Okay. And then of course I'm replying to any Facebook Messenger stuff that I get. Okay. Zillow jacking, I run weekly. Okay. So I actually have it set up to generate all the new FSBO leads. And by the way, we have a free tool for that. It's at fizbonanza.com. It actually delivers, I subscribe to a search for my area and it delivers that subscription to my email every Monday. That's completely free, by the way, fizbonanza.com. I execute that weekly. I call 5 FSBOs every single Monday with the expectation that I'm trying to set 2 appointments. And again, I'll execute on those appointments later on when I have them. But weekly is how often I run the Zillow jacking playbook. The upcirculating playbook I run typically about twice a month. And basically I'm putting brand new Facebook posts up with a new listing. I'm telling a compelling story. And then I'm also getting friends and family to help juice the algorithm and help it to go viral. Again, I don't want to... I don't want to overdo that. So a couple of times a month is plenty, and that helps me to generate those 32 leads. Google My Business I run once. And in fact, I give it very little attention on a daily, weekly basis. I set it up one time. It probably took me about 20 minutes, including my local service ads, to get set up. But once it's set up, you're good to go. You don't ever have to touch it again. And then the X Forecast I run once a month. Generally around the first of the month, every single month. This is where I'm basically doing a market forecast. I'm digging in my numbers. And by the way, I do that partly just to do homework on my local market so that I actually know what's going on a numbers basis on what's my days on market, what's the list to sell discount, stuff like that. But then I turn around and I generate CMA requests from that X forecast as well that I run monthly. Again, I use all of these, and you'll notice that some weeks I might only run classified and Zillow jacking because it may not be my upcirculating or my X forecast week, but I go ahead and just put them on my calendar. Generating leads and then following up with them by phone are the 2 most important activities that you have in your business, and they should supersede anything else that you have on your schedule. You should treat them like showing appointments. All right, quick review for consistency in your business. And remember, we're reframing consistency as simply having a system in place that you can consistently follow. Not that you have to will it or grit your teeth or do more hours on the phone or anything like that. We want you to just have, hey, this is how I know I'm going to generate my leads every single month. So step 1 looks like this. You develop a lead playbook stack. I showed you mine. Has classified, Zillow, upcirculating, Google My Business, X Forecast, right? They all work together. They feed each other to help me get that lead goal. But here's step 2. And again, this is part of it is we have to become a follow-up master. If we're not regularly having positive connections with our leads, it doesn't matter that we're hitting our lead number every single month. We have to then become a follow-up master. We've done videos on our follow-up strategy, how we do it. Again, if you find it the most difficult part of your process here, I would recommend going back and looking at our videos on this. If you do those 3 things, or if you do those 2 steps, it's always going to lead to step 3. Meaning, instead of this feast or famine where you work really hard and you generate some leads, maybe you execute on some new strategy and it works for some time, but then you forget about it. You get busy working with those leads. And then you look up after you've closed those transactions and you're wondering where your next deal is coming from. The Playbook Stack is the solution to that. Again, not this Playbook Stack, a Playbook Stack. And if you have a Playbook Stack that's consistently generating leads and you're a follow-up master, you will always be in escrow. You don't have to worry about the feast and famine cycle that plagues so many agents. Consistent lead generation is the way out of the feast or famine mode of business that many agents operate in. You don't have to constantly manage chaos. Figure out a Playbook Stack, or you can use ours, then come up with a regular plan to execute it. That's consistency. And that's the way to ultimately go from average producer to top in your office. Now remember, we do a full 1 hour long training on my #1 lead generation method, the Classified Playbook. We'll include a full step-by-step to hold your hand through it, as well as sample ads and scripts, everything you need to execute. Just like the video, share it, and type share it in the comments below. I'll send you a private link to the training for free. And we put out new videos like this twice a week, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We appreciate you guys.